Hi there, it's Deborah O'Toole, textile artist. Thank you for joining me again. Today, as promised, I will be showing you around my studio, doing a little studio tour. I don't know about you guys, but I just really love having a bit of a sticky peek into people's creative spaces. So I'm going to show you around where I get my work done down here. I'm very lucky to have a whole room that's dedicated to my work, and I never really have to clean it up or share it with anyone, so I'm very, very lucky. I will also be having a bit of a show and tell session with my fabric stash, so hope you enjoy. Okay, so here is my studio, starting at the front door. So this space is underneath my house. I have to kind of go down a set of external stairs to get there. That's all right. When I said I don't have to share my studio with anything, yes, I do have to share it with a piano, but that's okay. Piano didn't fit upstairs. So here it is down here. Last video I showed you some of the work that I had up there. And yeah, so this is kind of it. Now, most of the stuff that I have in my studio is secondhand. So this little cabinet here, it was in a house that we bought. Yeah, we tend to buy houses where old ladies live, and they tend to leave their furniture there. This one was in the kitchen, and it's actually really, really handy because it's got these things. I've got all these art supplies that, God, I don't know when I'll ever use, but I can't throw them out. I'm a little bit of a hoarder like that. Books and palettes. This is one of my favorite things. Yarns. There we go. These ones I got because I was doing machine knitting for a while there, and I still have a knitting machine, and I don't really use it, so I just use the yarns for other things. Now, this old thing, I've had these pencils and crayons and texters since my kids were little, and I just still have them because they're just really handy to have, and also they kind of remind me when my kids were little. Like, look at the glitter, cute. Again, I hardly really use them, but they're handy to have. This is probably the cutting table, and it's always good to have some inspiration of other artists going on there. As I showed you last video, here is some examples of samples that I've been doing since the beginning of the year. Now, here's where I do my ironing. It's just good to be able to spread out bits of fabric and not worrying about big pieces of fabric hanging over the edge of an ironing board. I can do good expanses just on a piece of good old blanket and the iron. Over here, I have my good old sewing machine. Now, this girl is from the 70s, and she was my mum's, and I actually learned to sew on this Janome. Look at her. There's nothing fancy about her, no computerized stitches or anything like that, but I'm able to do what I need to do, which is mainly free motion stitching. Got the walking foot on there at the moment because I just finished a project where I just needed to do some straight sewing, which is really weird for me, but anyway. My beads are all here. Look at that. Now, my beautiful late grandmother loved beading, and I was lucky enough when she passed away a few years ago to inherit her stash of beads. So a lot of these things actually were her mother's, and a lot of them are from the 30s, and she put them in these old baby food jars, which is really cute. So I love using vintage beads. Look at that. She just had things in old tins and beautiful. So they're not all vintage. I've got, you know, some new things as well. Down here, you know, I've got the good old plastic palette just because, you know, you need to have different things. The other thing I'm really lucky to have acquired is my auntie does some jewelry making, and she's also a dressmaker. Very good dressmaker, and somehow she just gets gifted these bags of beads, and she doesn't have any use for them, so she's just sent them to me, and oh my god, I just get so excited when I get another bag in the mail. So this one came first, and then these are second. I've hardly even opened these ones. Look, just so much great stuff. This is a beautiful basket that was my grandmother-in-law's. I really like just having all the essential things like tape measures, scissors. Oh, there's a little sample that should be over here. Anyway, I'm not sure how that ended up there. Yeah, so in between projects, and I got to tell you, this is clean. I've cleaned up. It's not normally like this. Yeah, so in between projects, I either need a needle and thread or scissors, you know, just the essentials. It's good to just have them in a basket somewhere so you can just grab them. Nothing worse than when you've got to just sew on a stupid button or something and you can't even find a pair of scissors or a needle. Now, last time I did a cleanup, and I'm going to try and, oops, open this up. Last time I did a cleanup, I did something that I've been planning to do for ages, and that is that I put all my fabric in color-coded bags. And the other thing I did was, look at this, I'm so proud, I color-coded my threads as well. It's a little bit hard to do the white and the black. Now they've just got chucked in there, but yeah, I don't know why, but this just gives me so much satisfaction. It took me longer than it should have because I got all kind of wrapped around the axles about, you know, whether they should go there or they should go there. But anyway, it's good to be able to see all my threads. Another thing I inherited when my nan passed away was her father worked in a haberdashery and had heaps of ribbons. So, I mean, they're polyester ribbons, a few silk ones. I've been lucky enough to be able to have a bit of a stash of ribbons, which is just really nice if you have a present or something to wrap up rather than just putting wrapping paper around it. You can actually tie it with a beautiful ribbon. So, and that goes in that lovely basket. The other basket, buttons. Can never have too many buttons. To be honest, I don't really use them a lot, but it's good to have them there. Here are some beautiful vintage boxes that, again, were from my nan, and they've got all sorts of trims in there. I like having plants. That one's going quite well, but this one's not going so well. Anyway, so this is kind of the fiddly working area. Down here, again, this little trolley, roadside find. That's just a whole bunch of stuff that I use for natural dyeing. I will get them out properly and explain them in another video because natural dyeing is just a thing of itself. Yeah, so boxes, you know, you've got to kind of keep samples, and when I did uni, you've got to keep them, don't you? Visual diaries and projects and all those things. Here's where I've got wool and yarn, knitting needles. Look at this cute old basket. Again, this is another thing from my nan. And so is that one. Wool. Whole little wool I may or may not ever use. Am I going to show you this? Yes, I'll show you this. Oh, no, I'm not. It's disgusting. But I'm a bit of a hoarder, and if there's a thing or a stash of bits and pieces, I don't know, I just like to be able to have things on hand in case, like, what if you wanted to do a piece of artwork with a Barbie doll's head? You know, then I've got one. What if I wanted to have a piece of artwork that had some black kind of felt things? You never know what you're going to need. So I've got, you know, newspapers and what's in there. Oh, this is, I know what this is. This is bits of wire thread, and because I did a little bit of crocheting with wire, and it was handy to have wire that was fine enough to crochet with. So that's my bookshelf. Now, here it comes to my stash. I don't know what it is, but people get a bit obsessed with fabric stashes, don't they? All right, so like I was saying before, when I last cleaned my studio, I did something I was planning to do for ages, because before then I just had all these containers here with just random bits and pieces, things that I'd inherited, and old clothes, because I really like to keep clothes with good fabric, just in case, you know, I might want to cut them up and use them for something. So color coding, there are all the greens. I've got a bag of red, like that thing is a top, but it's a pretty cheap top, but you know, the fabric is awesome. That is that's a scarf, but you can't chuck them out because, you know, the fabric's too good. Yellow, all that is sort of purples. So that right down the bottom, that's a dress. Oh, they're both dresses actually. What this means is that if I want a particular color, I don't have to go through every single box or bag to, you know, to get the color that I want. There you go, that's another thing. A vintage skirt, beautiful silk fabric, not getting rid of that. If I had my hands free, I'd be able to pull out a lot more. Again, another good old costume. I really love using vintage fabrics to give my pieces a bit of a luxe kind of thing. And also, this is something I got from the Solomon Islands or some travel. I tend to do a lot of traveling, and whenever I want a souvenir, that's always an easy thing to take home, is just a little bit of fabric. Now, I don't really know what this is, but it came with all my nan's stuff, and I think it's silk velvet, and I think it was going to be a headpiece. It's just so pretty, the way the colors just kind of variegated. Yeah, anyway, so never know when I might need that again. In these beautiful old suitcases, I've just got, you know, big lengths of black fabric and white fabric in case I need a large piece. There you go. A couple of those things, those white things, are actually wedding dresses. Old vintage wedding dresses. I don't even know where they came from. There is some stuff here I've had for 20 years. Oh, probably more, actually. More than 20 years. Yeah, so that's basically my studio. So I hope you enjoyed having a peek around my studio. You'll certainly be seeing a lot more of it in the coming videos. And in fact, next video, I will be showing you how I make these little quilted decorative pieces that I use to make my bigger artworks. So if you're keen to catch that one, please hit subscribe. And of course, share this with all your creative-minded friends. And I hope to see you next time. Until then, bye.